Anthony Joshua is a pay-per-view monster. He really is. He's a pay-per-view monster. I was going to say pay-per-view king, which would mean he was number one, but I think that still could be Canelo. I think when you take in consideration the cost of an American pay-per-view as opposed to the cost of a UK pay-per-view, which is a lot cheaper, I think Canelo's net kind of revenue could be bigger when it comes to pay-per-view buys. AJ probably makes up for it when you think of ticket sales as well. But nonetheless, when I saw these numbers today, I was a bit surprised and a bit shocked, if I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I read this article on World Boxing News. You guys check it out if you don't check it out already. Boxing Scene and World Boxing News are definitely my go-to sites for boxing information. I don't know how accurate these are. I think they're very, very close, but I don't know how accurate they are because, as you probably know, Sky and Matchroom don't release the pay-per-view numbers. Eddie Hearn always gives hints as to what the numbers might be, but we never hear the exact figure. But I think this is probably as close to it as we're going to get, right? And I'm surprised. I am a bit surprised by the numbers. Surprised in a very, very good way as well. So the number I started at was Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte. Now, World Boxing News do go a bit further back, but I wanted to start here because this is AJ's first headline pay-per-view event, and it was against Dillian Whyte. And according to this article, that number was 420,000 pay-per-view buys. Which, remember this, they were both novices. I think people forget that. I think AJ had only sort of 15 fights, and I think Dillian Whyte around the same, maybe one or two more. It done 420,000 pay-per-view buys, which I think is just unbelievable. I'm going to touch on some of the other guys in a minute, but I just want to run through AJ's numbers. So AJ versus Charles Martin, 500,000. That was obviously for his world title, the IBF belt. And then his first defense against Dominic Breazeale, 512. AJ versus Molina, I thought would probably be a bit less than what he's used to, and it was at 450. I think Molina just wasn't a name, and I think AJ just wasn't big enough to carry it. No one looked at it as a real threat. AJ Vladimir Klitschko, 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. That, ladies and gentlemen, is unbelievable. You couple that with the fact it was at Wembley Stadium, which is a sellout in about, I don't know what they said, 20 minutes or whatever it was. So he's not only doing 1.5 million pay-per-view buys, he's also selling 90,000 tickets. Unbelievable. Takam was less. It was supposed to be Pulev. I don't know if Pulev would have done anything more than Takam, but again, 887,000 pay-per-view buys isn't to be sniffed at. That's an astronomical number. But this one really surprised me. It really did. I know it was a unification fight, but it shocked me because Joseph Parker didn't sell the fight well. I don't actually think AJ sold the fight well either, but it's still done 1.457 million pay-per-view buys. Wow. And you can expect him to kind of stay on that trajectory, I think, now. I think I'd be shocked if AJ goes below 1 million. And that, for me, is when you are a pay-per-view monster. And that's why I labelled him a pay-per-view monster. 1.5 against Klitschko. 1.45 against Joseph Parker. Nearly 900,000 against Carlos Takam. And I think Povetkin will kind of run similar. I think Povetkin will probably be somewhere in the middle. I think 1.1 million. Again, a great number. Let me tell you what shocked me, though, was Hay versus Bellew, the first one, 900,000 there or thereabouts. That shocked the hell out of me, if I'm honest with you. And then the rematch went down. I'm surprised about that. The rematch went down to 775. I don't know why that surprised me, but I thought the rematch would be a bit bigger. I thought everyone would think, okay, Hayes 100% fit now. I thought it would have been a bit bigger, but I think there was a lot of... I think they sold the first one, didn't they? Hay really sold it. Bellew sold it. There was that animosity, and again, that's what grabs the casual interest. Hay didn't sell the fight at all in the second one, and Bellew couldn't sell it because Hay wasn't selling it. So he had no one to antagonize. So I can understand why it didn't do the same kind of numbers. Dillian Whyte, Joseph Parker, 474,000 pay-per-view buys. Again, don't tell me that number doesn't surprise you. It surprises the hell out of me. And what it tells me is that there is no bigger place in the world than the UK right now for boxing. When you think of things like Terence Crawford, Victor Postal, 50,000. Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev, 150,000. And here you have Dillian White versus Joseph Parker, 474,000 pay-per-view buys. Now, I don't know if it's a coincidence that these figures have been released on the back of BT Sports announcing pay-per-views, on the back of a DAZN project maybe not doing as well as expected, as if to remind people that Eddie Hearn knows what he's doing when it comes to pay-per-view. Because these numbers are, you have to admit that they're real good numbers. I mean, even Frampton Quigg, 304,000 pay-per-view buys for Frampton Quigg. It's real good business, this is. But what do you guys think? What number surprised you the most? I mean, the one that surprised me the most, I can't lie to you, is Joshua Parker. Joshua Parker really surprises me, and so does Bellew, the first one. In fact, I'll be honest with you, all of them surprised me a bit. All of them, for their own reasons, surprised me a bit. Even Brooke Errol Spence, 275,000. Brooke coming off a defeat. No one really knowing too much about Errol Spence. 275,000 is not to be sniffed at, people. It really isn't. Times 275,000 by 25 quid. That's why you know it's not to be sniffed at. But amazing stats. Hopefully these are legit. I think they are. What do you guys make of them? Let me know. Peace.